Hey guys, in today's video I am checking out a very exciting gimbal. This is the Moza Air 2. Now I reviewed the original Moza a couple of months ago. This is massively upgraded, so I'm very excited to check it out. Shout out to Moza for sending this out to review. Let's get into it. Let's see how it comes packaged and what comes in the box. This is the Moza Air 2 Professional Camera Stabilization System. Nice picture of the gimbal on the front. It looks awesome just from this picture. Around the back, not much. Now, Moza did tell me that this packaging is not final production, so this may change in the future. So what you get when this thing is released might be a little bit different. And this is everything that you get inside of the packaging. So you get a quick start guide with multiple languages, 4 Moza branded batteries, as well as a Moza battery charger. You get this piece, which looks like a weight or like a counterweight for the gimbal itself. A wireless, you can see 2 antennas, Moza focus. This is a focus puller motor. It's labeled here, iFocus Intelligent Wireless Lens Control System. So very cool piece of tech. It's metal. You can see there's power, some USB connections. Very excited to test this out, and to go along with it you get a rubber ring to go around your lens. As you would expect, you get a mini tripod for the bottom of the gimbal. You get 2 metal bars. Not sure what these are for. They do screw onto each other, maybe for some accessories on the gimbal. It comes with a little rubberized pouch. Inside you get a whole bunch of cables. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but basically everything you would ever want to connect your camera to the gimbal is going to be in here. In addition to that, you have some lens support mounts, and then looks like some tripod adapters. And last but not least is the gimbal itself. This thing is so much more premium looking and feeling than the first Moza Air that I reviewed just a couple of months ago. You could see that they have taken their time and really developed it. I haven't seen a gimbal like this ever, really. The grip, starting with the grip here, it's not a circle as you would expect, but it is a nice size grip. It's almost like a pistol grip for this gimbal. The whole thing is quite heavy. It is very rugged feeling. You get a couple of tripod mounts at the bottom. You have a little unlock switch that you flip down, and this is where you will tuck away all of your batteries. So very cool looking. Again, very premium feeling. You have a trigger button here, just like a pistol grip. You have that very smooth, very nice feeling focus ring. Another mount on the front. You have a power button, M and S buttons. You have a little circular dial here, ISO, play, TV, and AV, as well as a menu button in the middle, and then the toggle switch, and a nice little LCD display. Around the side, you have USB connections, as well as a power port. Not sure if you can charge using this or not, but it does have a little charge icon on the sides. Lever switches here, which makes balancing your camera very easy with this thing. And you can see just how large this base is, so you can fit a very big camera on this thing. Here is the base plate. Quick release, as you would expect. You get 2 plates here, which is very unusual. So let me try to release this one. So let me show you what I'm talking about. You have this plate here, and then you have a mini one on top of it. That is the plate. If you look at the actual top arm, you'll see that there is a 7.4 volt out and then a camera control port that are both integrated into the actual arm. No wires to see anywhere. Around the other side, check this out. You have a multi-cam and a 12 volt out. This thing has a ton of connections so that you're not running wires all over the place. It's designed to make your setup just look nice and sleek. So I'm very excited to turn this thing on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the batteries in, mount my camera, balance it, and then get back to you. All right, and here it is all set up and balanced with my a6000, and I'm using the Sigma 16mm, which is my go-to gimbal lens. And I have to say, it is a very nice feeling gimbal, definitely a lot more premium feeling than the original Moza Air. And dare I say, it feels better than the Crane 2 in the hand. Now, there are a whole bunch of features here, and it would probably take an hour-long video for me to go through each and every one of them. But I'll give you some highlights just to keep this video somewhat short. The first thing is the way that you change your modes with this gimbal is a little bit different. Now, normally you would press a button once to get into mode 1, twice to get into mode 2, 3 times to get into 3, etc., etc. Whereas with this gimbal, you don't have individual modes per se. You can turn on and off each axis independently of the other. There are 3 categories here, so pitch, roll, and yaw. The next number here is the speed, so how fast or how slow the gimbal is going to move on that axis. And then the last thing is a letter, so you either have L or it goes into F. F stands for follow, L stands for lock. And so what you do is you press once to lock and unlock the yaw, you press twice to lock and unlock the roll, and you press 3 times to lock and unlock the pitch. Now, if you don't like clicking that center toggle switch, you can go into the menu and adjust each setting separately, but it just takes a few more steps and it's a little bit more time consuming. Another cool thing about this gimbal is that you can adjust the speed of all of the motors on the fly, meaning you don't have to whip out your phone, you don't have to open up an app, you don't have to go in and fine tune everything. The way that you do that is simply by rotating this center circular knob. So you can tell right here, this is the speed, this number, so 40, 40, and 10. And just by moving the knob counterclockwise, it is reducing the speed, and clockwise, it is increasing the speed. While using this gimbal, if you want to simply lock all of the axes at once, you can use this trigger button at the bottom, and it will do so. So that is a quick overview of how to control this gimbal and how to go into different modes. Obviously, you can fine tune a bunch of other settings if you wanted to by going into the menu, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. Let's move on to sample shots because I think that's what you guys are probably waiting for. All of these shots are done with the Sigma 16 and my A6500. Here we go. So that is it for the sample videos. Overall, I was very impressed with how this thing performed. I am not the world's steadiest hands as far as using a gimbal, so you can blame some of the small shakes that you probably saw in the sample videos due to user error. But in general, this thing is very nice and smooth. Now, so nice and smooth that I should say that I've already sold my Zhiyun Crane 2. That was my favorite gimbal up until this point, but I do think that this thing performs a little bit better, and I like the controls, the fact that it's a little bit more intuitive. It's also more comfortable to hold. What's really great about this gimbal is how many features are packed into it. Number one, it can support a lot of weight, so it's something like 8 or 9 pounds, which is overkill for something like the a6000 or a6500 and any lens that you use on it. But because of that high load capacity, if you are using heavier lenses, you really don't have anything to worry about. The other benefit is you don't have to be precise when it comes to balancing your camera either, because there's so much power and torque in these motors that even if your camera is completely off balance, the gimbal will still work perfectly fine, and you won't have any of those micro jitters that you get with some cheaper gimbals where they've exceeded their load capacity on a particular axis. The second thing that I like about the Air 2 is that you don't need an app to control it or adjust any of the settings. Now, I did download the app, however, the Air 2 is not even listed on the app yet, so you can't even use it. I'm sure it will be updated in the near future and you will be able to do so, but you really don't even need a phone to fine-tune anything. Everything that you'd ever want to adjust is available from this simple menu system here, and the fact that it has a screen here that has all of these different settings makes on-the-fly adjustments a piece of cake. Third thing is battery life is nice and long with this thing. It's rated at about 16 hours. I used it all day without any issues. I've actually used it over the course of a couple of days and it was perfectly fine. Didn't really have to recharge it until like yesterday or the day before. So if you're using this for a wedding shoot all day, for example, you won't have to worry about swapping out batteries or plugging it in to charge. The fourth thing that I like about this gimbal is the integration of the follow focus wheel. The Zhiyun Crane 2 also has this giant knob. However, that follow focus system is really not as intuitive and it's not as easy to set up as this thing is. With the Zhiyun Crane 2, you do have to connect a bunch of different wires. They dangle all over the place. It really looks messy, whereas with this setup, it's nice and clean because all of your power and your connections are built into the base plate itself. The last thing that I'll talk about is, again, how smooth this gimbal is. I used it with the brand new Sigma 56mm, which if you guys saw my last review, all of those shots were done with this thing. And the result was excellent in my opinion. Nice and fluid shots, easy movement, which is a challenge for most other gimbals. Usually you'll get some sort of shakiness, some micro jitters. With this thing, it's powerful enough to handle a lot more weight. It's overkill for a small camera like this, but because it's overkill, you don't really have to worry about small shakes that you would have to worry about if you're not perfectly balanced on another gimbal. As far as drawbacks, I really only have two. Number one is it's pretty heavy. So the benefit of using an APS-C camera is the camera and lens setup is lightweight. So even though the gimbal weighs something like 1.4 kilos, the camera and lens is relatively lightweight. So the whole setup isn't terrible. If you're using a full frame Sony camera or something like a huge Canon DSLR with an L lens, this thing will handle it, but it's gonna make your setup a lot heavier and your arm will probably get tired after about 20 minutes, maybe 15. The second complaint I have about this gimbal is that it didn't come with a carrying bag or carrying pouch or zipped up carrying case or anything like that, which I think that Moza is going to include in the final version of the packaging. But in my case, I had to carry around a bag full of all the accessories and tools and everything, which is not ideal. So that is my review of the Moza Air 2. This is a gimbal that I would highly recommend if you are in the market for a great gimbal. It is my favorite one that I've tested on this channel. So if you are interested in buying one or checking out more specs, I'll post a link down below directly to Moza's website, as well as to Amazon and to B&H Photo, where you can check out pricing and pick one of these things up. Now, the gimbal market is rapidly changing. Over the last couple of months, there have been really 3 new releases that are pretty significant. This one, the Ronin S, which is very similar looking, but without a screen on the back, and the Zhiyun Web Lab, weird name for a gimbal. Now, I haven't tested those other 2 gimbals, but for right now, this thing is more than adequate for the work that I do. So that is it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all of your likes, comments, and support. Let me know what you guys thought of the sample footage and the performance of this thing. Stay tuned for more and have a nice day. Bye-bye.